Mark Carney has officially won the Liberal leadership race and is now designated to be the next Prime Minister of Canada. This comes as Justin Trudeau will resign his seat in the coming days, or as I should say, not his seat, but rather will resign the Prime Ministership in the next few days, and this will be followed by Carney taking up the mantle. Canada has an odd political tradition where the leadership of the party or whoever is the leader usually is the one to take up the mantle of prime minister. In other countries, sometimes the leader and the prime minister can be two different people. But in Canada, there is an odd rigor to see that the prime minister and leader be one and the same. Now, what happens that Mark Carney is in office? Well, first he'll have to go to the Governor General's office and get his cabinet as well as himself sworn in. Mark Carney will be the first Prime Minister in Canadian history to sit as Prime Minister without a seat in Parliament. And being in such a contentious position, he will definitely call an election in the coming days, or up to, some suggestions say, a week or to 10 days. He will call an election within this time frame. It would be fit for Carney to call an election, as it would be benefiting for him to build off the momentum that he has gained in this race. However, the Liberal Party race was not the typical political showing you would see if party versus party were happening, which is now going to take place with Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives, Jagmeet Singh, the NDP, the Bloc Québécois, the Green Party, now all taking shots at the Liberal Party and Mark Carney. Before this, the Liberal Party race was basically a family reunion. It was not the battleground that it should be. And now we'll see the real fire take off now. Now the real show starts, and we'll see the two juggernauts go at it. Carney versus Poilievre. The Conservatives are well aware that the public and the media have put them down in the polls, not at a losing position, I'd say, but in more so in a more competitive position against Carney's Liberals. Though many can contend or have contentions about this supposed polling, it is, to say the least, Carney does put the Liberals in a slightly better position against the Conservatives, Poilievre's Conservatives, as if Trudeau were to still be in office or would be to still running, they would definitely not have been in a better position. Carney puts the Liberals in a good position. It's going to be tough. People are going to see the credibility he has and take that into account. They are not going to do much research, I bet, the grand population. They'll see the surface level and they'll make their decisions based off that. That's why the Conservatives have to be smart and see to it that Carney's momentum is broken down in several places. Those places being that, in my opinion, would be that he cannot secure the French vote. The Liberal Party is built off the French vote, and Carney is not a French speaker. He's very English, and the French he does speak is very choppy, to say the least. It is known that the political scene in Quebec is much different than the rest of Canada. The votes there swing much more than they would usually in other places of the province across the country. And additionally, the Quebec voter concerns are very concerned with their French heritage, culture, and their issues. Their issues come first at hand, and they usually tend to be very different from the rest of Canada. So we could see anything. We could see a conservative resurgence in Quebec. We could see many of the conservative seats that once were there under Harper come back to the Conservatives. Pierre Poilievre is a very French-speaking candidate. He has a French name. He will definitely appeal to the French population as opposed to Carney's Irish English background. So that is just the reality of the situation. Another point is that Carney has what many would say a globalist viewpoint and elitist viewpoint, which is not very favorable among the people right now, as they feel like that the global and the elite of the globalist elite are the ones who have been screwing them over in the past decades, and people are now becoming more skeptical of these technocrats. To say the least, of course, the technocrat sympathizers, like many in the Liberal Party, will of course vote for Carney, but the general population will not be as kind to that. They'll also see he is an outsider. He is an outsider from Canada, not just outsider from Liberals. He's a very big insider in the Liberal Party. He's an outsider from Canada. He's lived out of Canada for many years of his life. He went to Harvard. Sure, that's great. But then he went to the United Kingdom and did most of his banking career as well as his financial career there. As on top of that, he came back to Canada for some public service in the Bank of Canada and other associate finance positions. Then he went back to the UK. So is he really as Canadian as he would like to seem he is, or is he not so? The same issue happened with Michael Ignatieff back in 2011. The Liberals saw that they needed to have a change to resurface as a contendable party, and they thought that Ignatieff was that smart academic politician they needed. In reality, he destroyed the party. Because why? What was the biggest issue? He literally came into Canada 5 days before he was elected as leader of the Liberal Party. He was an American. He had lived in America his whole life, and it looked like he was just bouncing into Canada just to take the mantle or build his own persona. And many might see Carney as doing that as well, that he's just trying to push down the career path, and that is his career ambition being prime minister. He will be prime minister for another couple of days, maybe a week or two. Election will be called, and then we'll be in the next rat race to see who's going to win the actual prime ministership, because he's not elected by the Canadian people. He was elected by only a small group of 130,000 Liberals that voted for him. So what's to come for Carney is not as green as it has been the past couple of weeks. Not sunny ways ahead for him. I would have to say it's going to get tough. Seeing how he performs in the seeing how he performs on the debate stage with constant stutters and lackluster deliveries, he will definitely have a hard time taking on the very firebrand Pierre Poilievre. And the attacks from the Conservatives will be rough on the Liberals. And Carney to say that he is going to have a good time or he's going to float and cruise through this is very, very impractical. The real race starts now.